Hello and welcome to another episode of the Agency Leadership Podcast. I'm Chip Griffin.
And I'm Gini Dietrich.
And it is 2021, Jenny. How does it feel to be in a new year?
It feels fantastic. Nothing has changed. A vaccine is coming. Well, it's here, but we don't get it yet. We're getting a new president. There is change coming.
That's true. And we're joking a little bit here. I don't want to get into like Morning Joe style trouble where we pretend that we're actually recording this in 2021 because we're not. We're recording this near the end of 2020. This is our last recording of 2020. We're a little punchy, so hopefully that won't show through too much.
More than normal.
But I'm sure, predicting how we will feel when this is released, I think we will be happy to say it's 2021, even if we know that just flipping the calendar doesn't really change anything.
Wow. 2021 will be better than 2020. That is all I'm going to say.
I think it will be different, and we will only be able to tell whether it's better later in the year. So,
I think it'll take 6 months for sure, but it has to be better than this year.
But things can change. Change is good. Many of you may be rolling out changes within the new year. Maybe you're rolling out New Year's resolutions. Maybe you're making some tweaks to your business. I'm making tweaks.
You are making tweaks.
And that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, because
I'm a little bit self-serving, but
it's a little bit self-serving, but I like it.
But we own the airtime here, so we get to do with it what we want.
Well, in your defense, it was my idea to talk about this, so it's not like you came to me and said we're going to do this.
Fair point. Yeah. But we are the Murdoch family of the Agency Leadership Podcast, and so we have complete editorial discretion. And if we want to use it to sell our own newspapers, we can do it.
So be it.
So be it. But we think it'll still be useful for you. We're not. This is not.
Right.
We're not.
You're not going off
a sales pitch. This is really just talking about really some things that I'm doing that I think will be helpful to the overall agency community.
So, Agency Leadership Advisors has a new name and a new mission.
A new name, a new mission, all for a new year. Actually, I did a slow motion rollout over the last quarter of 2020, not nearly at the pace that I would normally advise any right-minded client to do a rebrand and relaunch and all that kind of stuff. But, it's 2020 and you got to do it when you can do it and how you can do it. And it's fine. So yes, Agency Leadership Advisors, the name for the business for the last couple of years, gives way to SAGA, the Small Agency Growth Alliance. Let's see if I can say that correctly.
Small Agency Growth Alliance. Yep, that's SAGA. Yep, got it.
Yep, SAGA. See, yep. And it's got a new logo, and the SAGA has a nice little arrow off of the G to signify growth.
Yes, it's going up.
Yep.
It's very nice.
And that's about the limits of my graphical design expertise. So it is what it is, because I believe in investing in things in the business that actually help people as opposed to a lot of the branding elements for my own business. Because you're not coming to me for help or advice or work with other agencies because of my fancy logo. It's hopefully.
I don't know. It's pretty fancy. I might hire you for that reason, actually.
Well, no, don't do that. That's a bad idea.
All right, well, tell us about it.
So look, the over the course of the last couple of years, as I've worked with agencies large and small. Pre-pandemic, a lot of the work was with larger agencies, working with leadership teams and big picture stuff, large engagements, a lot of them on site, those kinds of things. And one of the things that I figured out during the pandemic was certainly those folks can use help. They need help. But there's a much bigger need amongst small agencies. And
Sure.
So over the last 9 months or so, a lot of small agencies have come to me looking for help. And one of the things that's nice about the way our world has changed is we're doing a lot of things by video. Mm-hmm. And so that means that I can offer my help to agencies much more economically and without any real concern over geography. So, in the past, a lot of my engagements were limited by, where could I get, how much time would it take to get there? And so that meant that the engagement had to be of a certain dollar value before it became worthwhile for either side to take part. And so now working with this, it's opened the door to working with a lot of the agencies that really need the help. And frankly, that I can make a bigger difference with in a shorter period of time, because, large agencies move slowly, right? Which is an advantage for small agencies. So now as I'm working more with small agencies, I can point out where they have opportunities because they can be more nimble, more flexible. They can try more things than some of the bigger businesses out there who just don't have that degree of nimbleness to them. And so trying to find ways to help them, but more importantly, and one of the reasons why I call this an alliance as opposed to, small agency consulting or something like that, is because one of the things that I'm trying to do with it is to find ways to bring small agencies together. Not always in ways where I get direct compensation, but because I feel like, building up the whole small agency community benefits the industry, but it also helps me over the long run. So where you can find those win-win type situations, to overuse a phrase, that's what I want to do in 2021 with SAGA.
So when you bring small agencies together, tell us a little bit about what that looks like and what, as a small agency owner, what someone like me might expect.
Yeah. So one of the things that I've done right out of the gate is to have a free membership program where small agencies can join together, and I'm creating a number of opportunities for engagement between them. So there's a discussion forum in the membership area where you can ask questions and look for answers that other people have already asked and answered, right? So it builds on some of the great work that you've done in the SpinSucks community, which is great for sort of the real-time collaboration. I wanted to have some discussion forums, so there's also a place where there's more of an archival history that's easier to go through, because a lot of times the questions you have as an agency owner may already have been addressed, and so you can find those great resources in a more traditional discussion forum place that is different from a Facebook group or a Slack community or something like that. But the other one is to actually bring agency owners together. So over the course of the last 9 months, I've done, various happy hours, office hours, meetups, those kinds of things to give agency owners an opportunity to just talk to each other. And so that's something that I'm bringing to the free membership on the SAGA site. So that's over the course of a month, there are 4 different opportunities to engage with other agency owners. There'll be a happy hour. There'll be more of I call it a coffee or a breakfast because it's earlier in the day. There'll be a midday type meetup, and then there's also going to be office hours with me once a month. So each week, basically, there's an opportunity to get together at different times of the day, so that no matter what your schedule is, what time zone you're in, there should be something where at least once a month you have an opportunity to get together with other folks. And I found that when I've done these, the interactions between the agency owners has been absolutely fantastic. I know that partnerships have been created out of it to work on different projects or ideas. And so I really want to foster more of that going forward, because it's so beneficial to have other people like you to talk to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When I started my agency, I joined Counselors Academy, which is through PRSA. And I remember going to the very first conference that they had, their annual conference in Cabo San Lucas. La la la. Right. And I remember before I went being really nervous about it, because it was going to be with other agency owners. And what I remember thinking, like, what could I get from hanging out with other agency owners? Because, for all intents and purposes, we compete, right? And there were some large agencies that we wouldn't compete with, but not many. Most of them were our size. And I remember vividly thinking, I can't imagine what I'm going to get out of this, but all right, I'll go try it and see what happens. And I will say that not only have I gotten a lot of business from it, business relationships, clients that we've shared and all that, I have forged lifelong friends from that. And it's because we're all in the same boat. We all have the same issues. We all have the same challenges. We all have the same HR issues, how to hire, how to fire, how to grow, how to scale. All of those things are the same. And the fact that we were all willing to work together to figure out those challenges made it significantly easier to grow my own agency. So I say that I relay that stories because it's such a great way for you to be thinking about things, because you're right. Being able to work with other small agencies, maybe you want to bring in a large client and you need expertise in 3 states where you don't have anybody. And now you can create those alliances with one another through this group. I think that's really great.
Yeah, and look, I mean, this doesn't take away from anything that Counselors Academy or other groups do
No,
that
sure,
still have
yeah.
real value. I think one of the nice things about this is there's more diversity in the types of agencies, right? So Counselors Academy, obviously, as part
Just
of PRSA,
PR, yeah.
really caters to
Yep.
PR, although, as we
Yep.
all know, PR and marketing and digital are all blurred together a little bit. So, certainly Counselors Academy has seen some evolution in membership along those lines over the years. But with SAGA, it really will be a much more diverse group. So you can find opportunities if you're a PR agency to find someone who might turn into a digital partner for you, or vice versa. And so finding those matches is really beneficial. And I'm sure you've seen over the years that the whole notion of seeing others as your competitors is really overblown. And the more time that you spend with other agency owners, you realize that that's not what it is.
Yeah.
And if you even look at your own agency business, I mean, how often are you going head to head with other specific agencies all the time? It doesn't, because most small agencies aren't involved in these, big RFP circuses and those kinds of things where, it's always the usual suspects showing up time and time again.
Right.
It's really more, you having conversations, building relationships with prospects, and them deciding to work with you based on that, not based on some cattle call. So I think one of the things that a lot of folks discover as they engage with more peers is that it really is more of a peer relationship and not something to fret about giving away your deep, dark secrets that's going to cause you to lose business.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think there's something like this for solopreneurs, but you have to be a solopreneur. Right. And I think this is really great at this level of growth, where you may have a handful of employees, or you're considering hiring employees, or even working with a network of contractors. I think this is a really great place and a really great value that you're offering to the industry.
Yeah, and the other nice thing is it's an opportunity for me to learn and figure out, what are the things that folks need help with? Because one of the other things that SAGA is going to do different from sort of my usual, consulting and coaching is also put together more resources. And so there will be later in 2021 a paid membership level where you have access to trainings, courses, templates, those kinds of things that are much more in-depth, and that will be based in part on the feedback and the requests from that free membership. So trying to find ways to help meet some of those needs so that you don't always have to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
You don't have to go and do a lot of original research, because one of the things I found in my coaching work is a lot of clients ask the same questions over and over again. And so if I can have, resources that I can point them to, okay, here's how you handle onboarding a new employee. Here's how you handle difficult clients. Here's how you handle terminations. Here's how you handle financial reporting. Putting those resources together in one place can be really helpful, for lots of folks, whether you want to do it, in a more of a DIY way where you're just accessing it, or whether it's in collaboration with some of the consulting that you or I might do with folks to give them some additional resources to work with.
Well, one of the big marketing trends for 2021 is humanization and personalization. So you are doing that right there. That's a prime example of how to do that.
Well, I am a human, so it's been debated at various points.
For the most part, I guess.
But I can tell you I have had scans done, and they have determined that I actually do have a heart. It is in there. So that's what I've found out from my various irregular heartbeat issues over the years. Anyone who says you don't have a heart, I can say yes.
He does have a heart. It's irregular, but he has.
It's irregular, but I'm irregular, so and that's fine. It takes all kinds to make the world go round. But and I think that as we evolve this, or as I evolve this over the course of 2021, it really is going to be based on a lot of the feedback that I get from members and some of my coaching clients and those kinds of things, to continue to figure out, what are the solutions that folks are looking for. I've experimented with some things over the last 9 or 10 months with some, group coaching. Do I bring some of that in here? I don't know. It's still an experiment. I think there are pros and cons to it.
Yeah.
But one of the things I want to do is to find out from folks, what are the things that would be most helpful to them. And the other piece of this, frankly, is figuring out, how to be a better advocate for the small agency community generally. So, I want SAGA to be working with others who are advising agencies and servicing agencies to find ways that we can really help the small guys compete better. Because most of us spend at least a portion of our time working with small agencies. So any agency consultant that you talk to, sure, they may work with 50, 100, 150 employee agencies, but they're doing a lot of work with the 25 and under folks too. And so finding ways that we can figure out, okay, how can we band together to work with service providers to get better options for small agencies. And I ran a service provider. I ran a media monitoring business, and I know that small agencies have unique challenges, both from a function standpoint as well as a cost standpoint. How can we find ways, by bringing the small agency community together to work with those service providers to get the solutions that they need? How can we help them to better compete against some of the larger agencies out there? Because oftentimes clients will be better served by the creativity and flexibility of a small agency, but they may just not know how to go about working with them. And so I think there's some opportunity there as well.
And I would say clients want the flexibility and creativity and nimbleness of small agencies, but they don't have the manpower to put together several of them into one cohort. So if you can offer that where you or somebody is managing the agencies, and then just the client has just one point of contact, I think there's a really big opportunity there for larger to work with larger brands.
Yep. Yeah. No, I think there's no limit to what small agencies can do if they're working together, and I hope that SAGA will be at least a small piece of that in 2021 and beyond.
Yeah, I think it's great. I'm a big fan. Hopefully we'll find some things to do together as well.
It's always possible, and hopefully we'll get some good questions out of the discussion forums there, so we can, mix those in with all the great ones we get from the SpinSucks community. And then you and I can spend even less time trying to figure out what topics to come up with for
even
this
less
show.
time on this podcast.
So that's really the motivation here. It's just, it's to make this podcast easier.
I appreciate that.
I don't really want to have to think. And I suspect that's why you wanted this as a topic, so we can encourage growth there, so that you and I can just sit back and show up once a week to just blab.
I think we do that anyway, but okay.
But we have to spend like a couple of minutes trying to come up with a topic idea sometimes. So it's nice to just be able to pick from things in the various communities that we're part of.
That is true. Yeah. So if you all could leave comments, questions in the next couple of weeks, because we don't have a topic for our next episode, that would be great.
Yeah, you won't hear this over the next couple of weeks because
but that's okay, because you can still do it the next couple of weeks. It's
absolutely
fine.
Yes. Whenever you hear this, even if you're listening to this well after we initially release it in the first week of January, by all means, send us your ideas. Go to the SpinSucks community. How do you get there, Ginny? Where's the SpinSucks community?
SpinSucks.com.
That's pretty simple, I guess. I thought you were going to give the full URL, but
we have it in the navigation now. So.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. That's nice. Because you couldn't get it to be spinsucks.com/community like I've always asked you to.
No, I can't get it to do that.
That's just sad.
I know.
Really, really sad. Because
it's really irritating.
I always, every time I give it out on one of my shows or live streams, I always like to say it's at spinsucks.com/community, but then I realize, no, it's not. It's at spinsucks.com. Yeah. But so it's in the navigation now, folks.
It's in the navigation
there's no
now.
excuse. Go to spinsucks.com, join the community there. Go to smallagencygrowth.com, join the community there, get the free membership. There's a lot of ways that you can engage with your peers. And even beyond what Ginny and I are doing, I would encourage you to find ways to connect with others who are like you, because you will learn so much from those experiences, whether they're one-on-one or group settings, it's online, offline, doesn't matter. Take advantage of it, because you will grow so much more quickly if you're having these kinds of conversations with other folks who know what it's like to be going through what you're going through.
Yes. And to your point, you do not have to reinvent the wheel.
You don't. Now, sometimes there can be a benefit to reinventing the wheel.
Sure.
Right? So you shouldn't do things just because that's the way it's always been done, but it's a really good starting point to at least know that. And there are a lot of these basic things that you can at least avoid gotchas by talking to folks who have been through that. And they can tell you things like, don't ask that interview question. You're going to get in trouble if you do that. Here's a way that you can save money on insurance or whatever. I mean, there's so many different things that you can learn from just talking to other folks. and it will help you accelerate your progress. And really, if you think about it, that's what we're all looking to do. It's not necessarily about finding shortcuts, but it's finding the best way forward. And so, I mean, it's why Google Maps was so good when it came out years ago, right? Because you could figure out the best way to get from point A to point B, and you maybe had some choices because it presented them to you. If you're working with your peers, they can help you figure out how to get from point A to point B with the fewest possible turns and the fewest possible
That's a great
miles.
analogy. That's a great analogy. I love it.
So SAGA is the Google Maps of the agency world, or something like that, you know, because we all have to be that. You know, we are the Uber of this, or we are the, right? So SAGA is the Google Maps of small agencies.
Like it.
Whether it's true or not, it doesn't matter. Just go to smallagencygrowth.com and sign up for free. Because we
Do
like
it.
free.
Do it now.
Who doesn't like free?
Right? I like free.
So, well, with that freebie that I'm giving away at the start of 2021, that will draw to a close this very first episode of the brand new year that's all different, completely changed. And there's no complaining because you can't sit there and say,
Nope.
2020.
Nope. Can't do that anymore.
Because that's, I mean, how many times did you say that?
A lot.
You know, just something
Can't say
happens
that.
and you just say 2020.
2020. Yeah.
Nothing else. And everybody knew what it meant.
Yeah.
That doesn't fly in 2021. So
Does not.
Be proactive. Find ways to make change in your business, in your personal life, wherever you're looking to improve things. Now is the time to get started.
Do it. Do it
Now
now.
go get on your Peloton or treadmill or whatever it was that you made your New Year's resolution on too, because I'm sure most of you have those as well.
I do.
So, no, resolutions, not the actual equipment. Of course, you've got one. I mean, you are like the queen of cycling, and you put in like a gazillion miles a year. How many miles did you do in 2020?
Well, I don't know yet. It's not over yet.
Roughly, how many will you have done in 2020?
Probably 5,000-ish.
5,000 miles.
Yes.
I can't even wrap my mind around that. I mean, when I was doing more running, I remember I had my big month was like 110 miles running.
It's a lot for running.
It's
a lot
well,
for running.
I mean, particularly when you look like I do. As I've always said to people, imagine what I'd look like if I didn't run at all. So, because people always look at me askance when I say I like to run. Like, really? I do.
Imagine
But as I get older, it gets harder.
It is. It's really hard on your body.
Yeah, it is. Anyway,
On that note.
Nobody cares about our exercise regimens and all that kind of stuff. So we will wrap this up and we will be back here next week. In the meantime, I'm Chip Griffin.
And I'm Jenny Dietrich.
And it depends.